The sheriff's cruiser crawled up my gravel driveway at 6 in the morning, lights flashing, all because some HOA Karen couldn't stand to hear the sound of me splitting firewood on my own land. There I was, boots, flannel, chainsaw in hand, steam still curling from the muffler. And who's parked in the drive blocking the way like she owns the damn Mountain Brenda high tow tower, sitting in her spotless white BMW sunglasses perched on her nose, arms crossed, glowering up at my old log cabin like it personally offended her sense of order. She'd only been here 6 months but acted like she was born to rule these hills. Started bossing around folks who've lived here generations like me, Marcus Thornfield. Most call me Mac. I'd bought this patch of Whispering Pines Valley 3 years ago, just a tired Air Force vet looking to patch himself up after losing my wife Sarah to cancer. She wanted a cabin in the mountains, watercolors, sunrises over the pines, the whole dream. When the life insurance came in, I bought 40 acres straight off a Craigslist ad. Didn't even see it in person first. I just knew Sarah would have loved it. Let me tell you, I poured every last drop of myself into that cabin. Built it with my own hands. Lodgepole pinestone chimney, solar panels glittering up top. Every morning sun or snow, I'd fire up the chainsaw, split wood until my arms ached and my mind cleared. That's living. Most of my neighbors felt the same: veterans, retirees, artists, people who'd traded stress for the simple joy of knowing every star in the sky. And then the invasion started. 18 months back, a developer named Derek High Tow Tower bulldozed in and started throwing up these glass and steel monstrosities, McMansions, 12 of them in a spot that should have held 4 real cabins. Brought in his wife Brenda with her perfectly shellacked hair, hiking boots that never saw a speck of mud, attitude sharp enough to cut a pine cone in half. Their $850,000 mountain retreat stuck out like a space station in the middle of a John Denver song. And within half a year, Brenda had set up the Valley's first ever HOA, her as president, naturally. It started small. Brenda went after Walt's old Chevy truck for aesthetic violations. Then Elena's tomato patch was suddenly inappropriate for residential harmony. But me, I was her white whale. My cabin sits up at the Valley's highest point. Every morning, every afternoon, every weekend, she could watch me out those massive floor-to-ceiling windows, living exactly the life she couldn't control. First came the complaints, noise, storage sheds, whatever else she could dig up. Then a certified letter with fines, $500 a day for breaking rules I never agreed to. I'd bought this land years before the HOA even existed. Brenda had as much authority over my property as she did over the moon. When I called to tell her that, she spat back, "Listen here, you backwoods redneck. We're going to civilize this place whether you like it or not." That's when it hit me. This wasn't about noise or property values. This was war. She'd messed with the wrong mountain man. A couple weeks later, I get a FedEx from some fancy San Francisco law firm, letterhead thicker than Brenda's makeup. They threatened a lawsuit for irreparable harm, and Residential Tranquility claimed I owed 50 grand unless I shut down my furniture shop, stopped splitting wood, and I guess stopped living. They even included photos of my wood shed, my solar panels, my mailbox, labeled like I was running a meth lab, not a wood shop. Well, they didn't know I spent 20 years wrangling Pentagon bureaucracy. If there's one thing you learn in logistics, it's that every regulation has a loophole if you look hard enough. 3 days in the county law library, and I found it Colorado's right to farm statute protects agricultural activities that predate residential development. Turns out making custom furniture from local timber counts as agricultural processing. Brenda's lawyers just threatened a guy whose job was more protected than a bald eagle's nest. While I drafted my polite, legally bulletproof reply, my neighbors started showing up. Walt, old as the hills and sharp as a hatchet, rocked on my porch, sipped his coffee, and said, "That woman's been poking around everyone's business." Derek's prowling property lines at night, GPS in hand. Elena showed up next, said Derek tried to buy her out for way over market, no inspection. At least 6 folks, she said, same cash offer, no questions asked. It wasn't just harassment, it was a buyout campaign, bully the holdouts, buy up the rest. So I upgraded my security, installed trail cams, real-time cellular ones, the kind hunters use, caught everything. And right on cue, Brenda sent the county inspector to hit me with a $5,000 fine for a paperwork issue. I spent a day in town collecting every possible permit. By Friday, my operation was legal as the courthouse itself. But the thing Brenda never understood is that mountain folks stick together. Word spread like fire. Elena held coffee meetings, neighbors swapped stories, Walt logged every suspicious car. I kept splitting wood at 7 a.m. every morning, let Brenda's binoculars fog up all they wanted. Didn't take long before things turned ugly. My chainsaw got sugar in the tank, classic sabotage. Then my ATV tires, 4 of them sliced straight through. Sabotage, plain as day. That's when I brought out the heavy artillery military-grade surveillance cameras everywhere. 2 nights later, the camera caught Derek skulking near my shed with a crowbar. The license plate clear as day, his white Tesla. The community was done being quiet. Elena called a meeting, 12 neighbors in Walt's living room, steam rising from coffee mugs, rage rising with it. "This isn't just property disputes," Jim Murphy said. "This is breaking and entering vandalism crime. We hatched a plan, document every threat report, every crime, and gather the kind of evidence only a logistics officer could appreciate." Brenda wasn't done, of course. She filed a restraining order, claimed I was a threat, cited my military record like it was a rap sheet. But by now I had every neighbor ready to testify, photos, timestamps, even the sheriff's sympathy. Then Brenda played her biggest card, called in a fake. 911 said there was a shootout at my place. 3 cruisers, a fire truck, an ambulance. My driveway looked like the set of a bad action movie. All because I was at Henderson's Hardware with a time-stamped receipt and security footage to prove it. You'd think it'd end there, but nope. Brenda called the local paper, painted me as a dangerous mountain man with PTSD out to terrorize innocent families. The headline photo made my little cabin look like Fort Knox. But my neighbors weren't buying it. VFW Post offered me legal help. The hardware store vouched for me and Elena. Well, she'd saved her best for last. Turns out Derek had been systematically buying up property for double, triple the price. But every seller had been harassed for a month beforehand. Even more interesting, he was digging up old records, mineral rights, water surveys. And right about then, the bank called a forgotten safety deposit box from my great-aunt Martha's estate. When I opened it there, it was the smoking gun. A 1923 deed, all mineral and water rights in perpetuity to my great-granddad Ezra Thornfield and his heirs. Every last drop of Clearwater Creek, every chunk of subsurface mineral belonged to my family. I got Elena and Walt over, spread out the papers, and watched their jaws drop. "This deed predates every subdivision in the valley," Walt said. "Derek's built a fortune on land he doesn't legally control." That night we called a lawyer, filed the paperwork. By morning, I legally controlled the water and minerals under every single property Derek and Brenda claimed to govern. Now we just had to let Derek hang himself. Elena joined Brenda's secret Facebook group, fed us intel. Walt tracked every suspicious vehicle. I recorded every bribe, every threat, every piece of evidence Derek foolishly handed me. The day Derek tried to buy me out for $500,000 cash, saying life gets complicated for people who don't adapt. I had the whole thing on tape. Then came the sabotage, motor oil dumped in my well, solar panels, smashed phone lines cut. But we had it all documented. Derek's intimidation backfired spectacularly. Instead of breaking us, he galvanized the valley. Walt organized a 24/7 neighborhood watch. Elena set up encrypted messaging. Jim Murphy logged every encounter. And when Derek's crew started stealing water from the creek well, that was the last straw. We got photos, GPS logs, everything. Come Friday, Derek was set to pitch his investors at the Pines Vista Clubhouse, $47 million luxury resort, water rights guaranteed. I sat in the back with Walt, Elena, and our lawyer. When Derek bragged about his water rights, I stood up, waved the 1923 deed, and handed out certified copies. "You're about to invest millions in a project that can't operate without my permission," I told them. Our lawyer handed over validation letters from the state, the county independent law firms. Then came the audio Derek caught on tape threatening neighbors, bribing officials, confessing to environmental crimes. The investors turned white as sheets. By Monday, Derek faced criminal charges, fraud, environmental violations, intimidation. Brenda skipped town, filed for divorce, left their McMansion to foreclosure. Derek, 3 years in federal prison, stripped of everything. And me, I set up the Clearwater Creek Conservation Trust, guaranteeing water for every resident, protected from development forever. My business took off, my neighbors became friends. We started a scholarship in Sarah's name, held festivals, potlucks, helped each other the way communities are supposed to. You know what sticks with me? Brenda and Derek thought they could buy and bully their way into paradise, but they never understood what makes a place like this worth fighting for. It's the people, the history, the stubborn, quiet decency that refuses to be bought. Sometimes the best revenge is just outlasting folks who think money makes them king. So tell me, what's your worst HOA horror story? Ever gone to war with a neighbor who thought the rules didn't apply to them? Drop a comment. Share your experience. And let's remind the world, justice isn't just a courtroom thing. Sometimes it's mountain folk with old deeds and even older friends standing their ground till the last log split and the last lies exposed.